The 29 technical notices drawn up by Whitehall cover areas including free trade agreements after the split, fishing policy and rail transport. Brexit Secretary Dominic Raab said the government is still striving to strike a good deal with Brussels, but added the documents show the unlikely prospect of no deal is being taken seriously. The latest batch of documents reveal how the UK will immediately regain control of its waters in a no-deal scenario, and in some areas businesses and individuals will notice nothing change. But they included a series of warnings, including burdensome new restrictions for UK firms operating on the continent, possible disruption to cross-channel rail travel and the threat of power blackouts in Northern Ireland. The UK will also lose free trade agreements with more than 70 non-EU countries around the world if it leaves without a deal, the government warned. Read more. Keep up to date with all of today's Brexit news with express.co.uk's Live blog. The latest batch of documents cover funding for British overseas territories. As a member of the EU, the UK and its overseas territories can currently apply for funding from the bloc to pay for specific projects. But if Britain leaves without a deal, places like Gibraltar could lose future funding for existing projects under EU programmes. The document released yesterday says the Chancellor will guarantee funding for specific EU projects to provide certainty for British overseas territories' governments. In a no-deal Brexit, the government says it will establish its fisheries policies as a replacement for the EU's controversial Common Fisheries Policy. The Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs says non-UK registered vessels will no longer enjoy automatic access to UK waters, unless there are existing agreements in place. But UK boats will lose their automatic right to fish in EU or third country waters. Meanwhile, the UK Fisheries Administrations will tell UK quota holders what their quota allocation will be. Brexit news. The government has released more of its contingency planning for a no-deal Brexit. Image, Getty. EPA Today's technical notices cover what will happen to the UK fishing industry in a no-deal Brexit. Image, Getty Images. Breeders of pedigree horses, cattle, sheep, pigs and goats will lose their automatic recognition in the EU if Britain leaves without a deal in March 2019. In the case of a no-deal Brexit, recognised UK breed societies and breeding operations will no longer be automatically entitled to enter animals into breeding books in the EU or extend breeding programmes onto the continent. The Department for the Environment said that such operations would have to apply to the European Commission for certification that they meet EU rules. However, EU-recognised breed societies and operations will continue to have access to the UK in the same way as they do now. Rail transport and rail safety standards. Cross-channel rail passengers have been warned they will be responsible for ensuring their tickets are sufficient to cover possible disruption in the event of a no-deal Brexit. This means some Eurostar and Eurotunnel customers may be tempted to buy more expensive mendable fares rather than cheaper fixed tickets. The document also explains that the UK is seeking bilateral arrangements with France, Belgium, the Netherlands and Ireland to facilitate the continued smooth functioning of cross-border rail services. UK breeders of pedigree cattle will not be recognised by the EU in the event of a no-deal Brexit. Image, Getty Images. Trading gas and electricity with the EU. Operators of electrical power links with Europe will need to set up alternative trading arrangements in a no-deal Brexit. Around 6% of the UK's electricity is imported through power links with France, the Netherlands and Ireland, and plans are in the pipeline to build several more. The government and energy regulator Ofgem are working with interconnector operators to ensure new access rules are approved in Great Britain and are providing support to interconnectors engaging with EU member state authorities. A separate paper said gas trading between Britain and Europe was not expected to change significantly in the event of a no-deal Brexit. The UK would look to carry over all sanctions imposed by the EU at the time of exit, according to the documents. New sanctions and anti-money laundering laws should be in place by March 2019, but any sanctions regimes that have not been addressed would continue as powers retained under the EU Withdrawal Act 2018. This means there will be no gaps in implementing existing sanctions regimes, the documents state. The EU is currently responsible for regulating the manufacture of pesticides. If Britain leaves without a deal, the government says it will establish its own independent regulations and repatriate decision-making on the products from the EU to the UK. The UK imports around 6% of its electricity from EU countries. Getty Images EU regulations currently govern consumer protection and allow people to buy products and services from anywhere in the bloc with the knowledge that the protections and safety standards are the same or similar in every member state. But the government warns a no-deal Brexit may cause an impact on the extent to which UK consumers are protected when buying goods and services in the remaining member states. UK consumers will also no longer be able to use the UK courts effectively to seek redress from EU-based traders. Structuring your business. Firms that own or run business operations in EU states could face burdensome restrictions after a no-deal. The Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy said firms were likely to face changes to the law. For example, this could involve meeting additional requirements in order to acquire real estate and are requiring additional approvals to operate. Restrictions may be more burdensome for branches or representative offices, as opposed to subsidiaries which have their own legal identity and are incorporated in the EU member state concerned. The guidance also warned UK citizens may face restrictions on their ability to own, manage or direct a company registered in the EU, potentially needing to meet additional requirements on nationality or residency. Geo-blocking of online content. Geo-blocking is the process of blocking access to a website on the basis of an internet user's EU nationality or place of residence within the EU. New EU rules prohibiting geo-blocking are due to kick in on December 3. The regulation will also ban traders discriminating against customers on the basis of their nationality or place of residence when they are purchasing goods or services. A no-deal Brexit would mean the UK version of the geo-blocking regulation will cease to have effect in UK law. Eurostar passengers could face disruption in the event of a no-deal. Getty Images. The other technical notices cover exporting GM food and animal feed products, exporting objects of cultural interest, trading and moving endangered species protected by sites, maintaining the continuity of waste shipments, existing free trade agreements, importing high-risk food and animal feed, control on mercury, control on persistent organic pollutants, regulating biocidal products, classifying, labeling and packaging chemicals, health marks on meat, fish and dairy products, export and import of hazardous chemicals, accounting and audit, providing services including those of a qualified professional, geo-blocking of online content, taking horses abroad.
Thanks you for watching. Please subscribe News to You channel. Goodbye and see you again.